I read through your resume, and obviously, I thought it looked good because that's why we're here.
Okay.
How many companies in the U.S. may be having ghost North Korean workers?
In terms of targeting, at the very least, I'd say all the Fortune 500 companies have all of them. I've seen them everywhere. Once you peel back the onion, I've seen them everywhere.
Sir, how can I say? I've been working in AI architecture for a little over 10 years now.
It seems like every rogue regime has its own specialty. North Korea, is this the one they've...
Highly trained computer scientists. This seems to be their latest specialty, and they're excellent at it.
Cash and crypto are king for them right now.
They're now pioneering a whole new system. This is now the shining example of what you could achieve.
Their goal is to fund nuclear and ballistic weapons programs.
North Korea is one of the world's most sanctioned countries, cut off and isolated. But the regime has found a way to help break free from its economic prison by working at American companies, using AI to find and do American jobs remotely.
They steal the identities of U.S. citizens. They apply for the broadest range of jobs you can imagine. Some of them have 3 or 4 or 5 jobs simultaneously. And now with AI tools, the language barrier is no longer an issue.
They use AI to get through the interviews, and then they're using AI to do the work.
Many American companies are unaware they're hiring North Koreans and that the salaries they're paying go to prop up the regime and fund its nuclear weapons.
This is a quiet theft of billions of dollars out of the economy that's going to fuel the next great geopolitical threat.
That's exactly the kind of challenge I'm built for.
A visibly emotional Kim Jong-un, North Korea's supreme leader, the third in a dynasty, stood before his people amid celebrations marking the 75th anniversary of his Communist Party.
제대로 한번 보답이 따르지 못해 정말 면목이 없습니다.
Offering a rare public apology, he admitted he was falling short of his family's legacy. Despite the new ballistic missiles on display, it had been a difficult time for the young leader. Record drought, followed by historic flooding, exacerbated food shortages. And then a global pandemic hit. North Korea was suffering, a far cry from the economic prosperity Kim had promised. But then a change. Just 5 years later, a self-assured Kim stood shoulder to shoulder with Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. His comeback was fueled in part by cybercrime. The seeds had been planted more than a decade earlier. I traveled to North Korea during a transition of power. In 2012, when Kim Jong-un was just taking over from his late father.
This is what totalitarianism looks like when it decides to throw a party. Tanks, a little showbiz, and plenty of goose-stepping to show a people in lockstep with their leader. North Korea has one of the world's biggest militaries, and this country's leader just addressed this parade. He said the army started with only 2 pistols and now has nuclear weapons.
I visited one of North Korea's leading universities, educating the country's brightest young minds. A digital transformation was underway worldwide, yet the school's computer science students, among the few with access to the internet in the country, appeared disconnected.
Are these computers connected to the internet? Are they working?
Is it working right now? Can you show me something on the internet?
지금 상황이 쓴 거네. 어느 설비 제공이
Today is the day of the equipment managing.
So the internet's not working today.
Yeah, not today.
Let's follow.
All right, so the network is down. Thank you very much. Seems odd the network is down when we happen to arrive.
What I didn't know at the time was that the students from this very institution would be tapped to fill the ranks of the country's growing cyber army, what would come to be known as the Lazarus Group, responsible for some of the biggest and most complex international cyber attacks.
It's not top-down funding. Like, it all starts at the bottom through illicit schemes and it flows upwards. It's the only place in the world that has done anything like this.
Funneling at least $1 billion a year to the regime, according to U.S. officials.
So it's like a mafia station.
It really is just like
so
it's
you've
a
got a
single family.
godfather, and then
Yeah.
you got the
capos.
The capos who pass their money up the chain.
You look at most criminal hackers, they're driving really expensive cars. They're taking their yachts out on the Mediterranean. Like, they are living life really well. You're not going to see a North Korean hacker driving around a really expensive vehicle. Their sole goal is to get money to fund the regime's priorities. They get enough money to live, and the regime takes the rest of that money. They will identify North Koreans from a young age, and they will bring them up and train them to be cyber actors together. They are a team dedicated at hacking the globe on behalf of the regime.
Despite North Korea's denial of illicit cyber attacks, one money-making tactic has become synonymous with its operations: deploying undercover operatives to find and do jobs remotely.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I think the first thing, I just love to learn a little bit more about you. So tell me who you are, Joseph.
Yep, sure. So, how can I say? I've been working in AI architecture for a little over 10 years now, mostly in the security and intelligence space.
Last summer, a suspected North Korean operative who went by the name Joe used a stolen identity to apply for a hard-to-fill artificial intelligence role with a corporate security and investigations company called Nisos, headquartered in Virginia.
You, as a company with a lot of intelligence or former intelligence officials working here, specifically focused on North Korea, if you guys got burned, and this is your business.
The first thing I'll say is we didn't get burned. We identified him as a DPRK, a North Korean candidate, in the first interview. We decided to start to run an operation on him.
So you had fish on the line, and you let him run a little bit.
100%. It was a chance we had to get inside the minds of these guys. I think what we were looking for was the human angle. How do we better understand the behaviors so we can start to better look for ways to counter those behaviors?
Nisos saw an opportunity to flip the script.
He picked the wrong company to play with. I heard you guys had hurricane, I think like Hurricane George recently. How was your house? Kind of how was Palm Beach?
And you invented a hurricane?
We did. So we said Hurricane George.
And there was no Hurricane George?
There was no Hurricane George.
Yeah, how can I say? The winds were strong, but luckily my place was fine. Some branches down, a bit of cleanup, but no real damage.
Thank you for sharing a little bit more about yourself. It's always nice to kind of get to know our candidates. I'll turn it over to kind of start a little bit of the top grading interview.
Well, nice to meet you, Joseph. I'm glad that, again, the house is fine and you're okay. I know with the winds and stuff, it's always bad. So let's talk about background.
Ben Rasenberg, a former CIA analyst who led Nisos' North Korea-focused investigations, posed as an employee named Ethan.
Do you by chance have a GitHub or any sort of a repository of work you've done? I would like to see more of that.
Talk me through what's going on here.
So at this point, I'm pretty convinced he is a North Korean trying to get a job with us.
I looked through your resume, it all looks very impressive. Do you have like a portfolio that you can show? I just would like to see a little bit of the work because we want to make sure, you know, the right person's coming in.
Yeah, sure. How can I say? I don't have a full portfolio site yet, but I can pull together some sample diagrams.
We can make it even easier if you want to share something now. If you can just pull up your screen, we can try.
Yep, sure.
Do you want to share your screen and show me a little bit of the work?
Right now?
Yeah, why not?
Who doesn't like that?
Just a second.
And you will see him start now looking around and clearly closing windows.
So he's like, okay, I'll turn my screen on, but let me do a couple things first.
It's always easier when you see the person showing it than me having to see it later, because I get to see it and see your excitement for the stuff, you know?
Can I rejoin?
What was that, Joe?
Yeah. Can I rejoin?
You want
Yeah.
to rejoin? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you need, if you need to rejoin or if you need to jump in, that's fine.
And at this point, he's gone.
Oh, he dropped off.
He dropped off.
He dropped off. And we waited a little bit, but we knew he wasn't coming back.
To hook him further, Nisos offered Joe a $5,000 fee and said they'd mail him a laptop to the address he'd provided in Florida. He responded immediately to say he was interested. A few days later, the laptop, which Nisos bugged with tracking software, arrived in Florida and was signed for. The trap was set.
When the laptop was opened up, we were able to access the camera. So we saw other laptops on shelves in the home.
And this is what you saw when you turned on the camera.
That is correct. So you see lots of laptops, cables everywhere.
And when you saw this, what went through your mind?
Oh, I got super excited. I mean, I messaged you and said, this is amazing. I cannot believe that we actually found a laptop farm. And now we want to figure out who is the person who's running this.
I think you're like gold mine.
Gold mine, yes.
Nisos now had hard evidence. The laptop was part of a tried and tested scheme, using computers in the United States to cover Joe's tracks and make it appear as if he was working in the US, as he claimed. NBC News made several attempts to reach out to Joe. We never heard back. But none of it would have been possible without the help of an American facilitator. And it turns out there are plenty of Americans happy to host laptops for a fee.
Hi, everybody.
The same month Nisos sent the bugged laptop to Florida, authorities convicted American Christina Chapman in a different case for running a massive laptop farm in her home, helping the North Korean government earn over $17 million. She was sentenced to more than 8 years in federal prison.
These North Korean IT workers were accessing the company's networks and sensitive data through laptop farms located inside the homes of U.S. persons. The laptop farms allow the IT workers to conceal their true locations and to earn money from for the North Korean government, but they can't do this alone.
Once the laptop Nisos mailed to Joe in Florida was turned on, Nisos found it had full access to everything on it and everyone connected to it: emails, texts, Google searches, job applications, schedules. Watching nearly 24/7 for 3 months, Nisos discovered evidence suggesting Joe was part of a team of at least 20 operatives who applied for more than 160,000 jobs, sending minion emojis to each other, coordinating cigarette breaks, Googling what they didn't know about America, and using each other as fake job references. As more people utilize AI, so is North Korea, using it for more than translation, to create multiple identities and fake their appearances.
Can you take your hand and put it like in front of your face to like cover it partially?
Would you mind doing this with your hand in front of your face, please?
Give me 1 minute. Let me try.
It's getting harder for employers to be certain who they're really speaking to, with real-time AI filters getting better every day.
Can I join again?
Employers like Nisos started posting interview clips showcasing tactics they were using to expose suspected North Korean applicants.
So one of the tests that we do is trying to get them to say something like, Kim Jong-un is a fat, ugly pig. Could you say that for me?
One of the smallest countries on the globe as far as resources go can have an outsized impact on what we do here because of technology. And then if you look at the way artificial intelligence and soon agentic artificial intelligence are going to transform the landscape, North Korea is going to be able to use these very inexpensive platforms to attack us in ways that happen at machine speed, not human speed.
Brett Leatherman leads the FBI's cyber division.
Agentic AI takes it a step further. In the context of North Korean cyber operations, that means each agentic AI agent can operate as a persona on behalf of the regime.
So you don't need an enslaved hacker.
You need fewer because one person can control dozens, if not eventually hundreds of agents that are sitting there in cyberspace ready to engage in operations autonomously.
But despite advances in AI, North Korean operatives still need real people, facilitators, to make their scheme work. I traveled to Florida to find out who was really running and hosting Joe's laptop.
Nathan.
Yes, sir.
How are you? Can you see me?
I can, sir.
Okay. I'm just looking at a ceiling fan. Is that the intention?
If that's all right with you, yes, sir.
Okay.
But yeah, happy to chat. What can I do for you?
Okay, I'm recording this, and you can record it on your end just so that nobody says I said something that I didn't say, you said something you didn't say, just so you're aware. It's okay, so that's your ceiling fan. So I'm doing a story about IT workers scheme that involves North Korea. Do you know anything about that?
Wow. Not familiar at all. Happy to listen, happy to learn.
Happy to listen, happy to learn. Do you host laptops in your house?
I do not know.
Have you ever heard of a company called Nisos?
I have not.
Because they've heard of you, and they say that you were hosting, or you signed for a laptop, and that laptop was being operated by North Koreans.
Yeah, I'm not sure of anything of what you're talking about, my friend.
Nisos says that that laptop was connected to a network at your place, and they were able to open the camera and see like all kinds of other laptops there, and that it was basically a laptop farm being run by North Koreans.
Wow. That's pretty scary stuff.
I'm not calling you by accident here. I have the address. This company sort of was tracking this machine. They were able to get into this machine, and they were tracking it at the addresses where you were living, where this laptop was living, connected to a network run by North Koreans. That's the issue.
Whatever I
That's
tell
why
you
I'm
is on
calling you.
record, and you can go tell other people because it's being recorded. If you're able to turn off the recording, I'm happy to chat with you, but I can't have. I'm not really comfortable discussing it on the record. You know what I mean? I don't really know what you're talking about. I'd love to ask more questions.
They need facilitators in the U.S. to host these laptops. And I'm asking you, Are you one of these facilitators?
Let me know when we go off the record and we can chat, okay?
All right. I'll call you back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We didn't seem to be getting any further with him as the cameras rolled, so I continued my conversation with Nathan off the record. NBC News asked the FBI if information Nisos provided them led to an investigation. An FBI spokesman told us, in keeping with Department of Justice policy, the FBI can neither confirm nor deny conducting specific investigations. But a source with knowledge of the events told NBC News Nathan spoke to U.S. authorities. We don't know the outcome of the conversation. In other cases, people have been convicted.
This is a code red. Your tech sectors are being infiltrated by North Korea.
While the full extent of North Korea's infiltration is unknown, 29 suspected laptop farms were raided by U.S. authorities in 2025. And investigations have already resulted in 8 convictions this year.
We call these laptop farms, where they'll host the laptop so the North Korean can pretend like they're in the U.S. And not only are they victimizing U.S. companies by obtaining unlawful access, they also use stolen U.S. identities to get paid.
Roman Rozhavsky is the special agent leading the FBI's counterintelligence and espionage division.
You're picking up these facilitators, who are pretty low on the totem pole. They're the people who open the bank accounts or leave the laptops on. Do you ever get to the people in charge?
We have indicted individual IT workers, and every once in a while we'll indict larger, bankers who facilitate the larger movement of this money. And we do try to go as far up the food chain as we can, but with most of them being in Russia and China, it's difficult. So our biggest priority is to kind of harden defenses here and to, protect U.S. companies and citizens from being victimized. The FBI and our partners are committed to using every tool at our disposal to deny North Korea its profits and cut into funding for their weapons program.
During the Korean War, 200,000 people lived in Pyongyang, the North Korean capital. By the end of the war, there were only 3 houses left standing.
A direct outgrowth of the Cold War, it was viewed as an effort to contain the spread of communism in Asia. After the war, the North Koreans rebuilt their capital city and turned it into a showcase. There are 15 million people living in the north. 1 million of them live in the capital.
Suffering under sanctions imposed over the decades following the war and spurred on by an ideology of radical self-reliance, North Korea turned to illicit industries, arms smuggling, counterfeiting, drug trafficking, to keep the system afloat. And early on, the regime recognized the potential of cyber warfare and cyber crime that Kim Jong-un would fashion into his so-called all-purpose sword to expand North Korea's nuclear weapons program. As the country was parodied in the West for its propaganda, the parades, performances, and bombast, North Korean leaders were building a capacity that could challenge its biggest adversaries.
Because it's such a closed society and because it's so hard to get, credible information about it, people still see it as very much a caricature of itself.
Jenny Town heads 38 North, an organization studying the secretive state.
The impression people have of North Korea is of this cartoonish,
right,
sort of chubby evil dictator, and doesn't get much deeper than that.
Well, and that is part of the reason why we started 38 North, of let's have a real informed discussion about what's happening. There are certainly information controls, there are certainly human rights abuses, but at the end of the day, it is a country that is consequential to our global security environment. His appearance at the Chinese military parade,
next to Xi, right?
Not only sitting next to Xi, really held up as, those were the 3 main players, but with other world leaders behind him. That was, was his first foray into a multilateral forum, and to be held up in such regard was a huge breakthrough for him.
Kim Jong-un is more technologically inclined. He is a millennial. It's the all-purpose sword. He sees this as the way of the future, and he's not wrong. It's super, super effective.
Michael Barnhart is one of the foremost authorities on North Korean cybercrime.
I'm an intel guy. I've been doing this since 2 weeks after I turned 17. This is all I know.
How did you
kind of fall into it?
How did you fall into this? You spent time military intelligence, you were in Iraq, you're Afghanistan. Why did you start focusing on North Korea?
It was kind of an accident, really, because we would get hit by all of the nation states, but whenever we get hit by North Korea, we had no answer for it.
North Korea's cyber capabilities became clear to the world in 2014 when their cyber army hacked Sony Pictures.
On our broadcast tonight, who's to blame for the withering, continuing electronic attack on Sony Pictures? Publicly, the White House won't say. Privately, the feds are pointing to North Korea. And what does that mean for national security?
Then came a wave of complex cyber attacks targeting multiple U.S. industries and government agencies.
They were running rampant, and they hacked NASA. They hacked government facility, military installations. So these guys
were able to hack into NASA?
Yeah, so they're knocking over huge names.
Barnhart now leads nation-state threat intelligence at DTEX, a cybersecurity firm, studying North Korea's military hacking tactics, from state espionage to revenue generation, like IT work. Barnhart and Town are part of a group of North Korea and tech specialists calling themselves the Misfits. They assist law enforcement with cyber cases.
It initially started out from just 5 of us in 2016, but it really last year, it really took off. basically with the IT workers. And these things take time to develop, whereas we can move a lot quicker, but we can't, go out and just hack whatever we want, do things like
You
that.
can't
So-
arrest people, put them in
Exactly,
jail.
exactly.
But you can move
We can point to the
faster
door.
than the speed of bureaucracy.
We could point to the door that needs to be hit, and then someone else can hit it later, or things like that.
In one alarming case, hackers targeted a rural hospital in Kansas in 2021, locking the computer system with ransomware, demanding a payment in Bitcoin.
There's these hospitals that are getting ransomed during the pandemic.
The hospital had no choice but to pay up.
A payment was promptly made on behalf of the hospital to the cryptocurrency address specified by the hackers, and the hospital was able to regain access to its servers.
Investigators on the case were able to learn a lot by following the money. They gained critical insight into how hackers turned cryptocurrency into cash, tracing the hospital's ransom payment through a complex web of crypto exchanges, covering their tracks with each transfer. The money was eventually withdrawn from one ATM in China, right near a bridge leading to North Korea. In a rare success, the FBI says it was able to return the money to at least 2 of the healthcare providers attacked. They eventually indicted a North Korean operative named Rim Jong-hyuk.
And once you find these guys or identify them, since they're in North Korea or remote parts of China, you can't really get to them.
Those type of guys, they don't ever leave North Korea because they know that as soon as they step foot out, then potentially they could either defect or they'll be caught. Fingers crossed we get some cuffs on some people one day, not just facilitators.
North Korea's cyber program is sophisticated and agile. In 2025 alone, North Korea's cryptocurrency heist probably stole $2 billion, which the IC assesses is helping to fund the regime and include further development of its strategic weapons programs.
They're doing it for the money. So if you can disrupt the money that they're stealing, that's a laudable goal. Like, that is actually having an effect.
Nick Carlson was one of the first FBI specialists to focus on North Korean hacking.
You're a cyber guy, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm the money guy. I'm the money laundering guy.
But crypto, computers, digital currencies, sort of non-existent stuff.
Totally, yeah.
He's now a senior investigator at TRM Labs, tracing stolen cryptocurrency through Chinese money laundering networks.
Maybe step back a little bit, right? Is say North Korea, they steal $1.5 billion, right, earlier this year. But how does North Korea use that money? They can't take the crypto they stole and go buy food, they can't buy oil, they can't buy missile components with the crypto, right? So they need to convert that into real money, into dollars, into yuan in China. And the way they do that is by working with organized Chinese money laundering. That's who actually cleans the money for the North Koreans and makes it available to them. And so those people, that's who we should be going after. These are like Chinese gangs that have existed for hundreds of years, actually.
Like a mafia.
Yeah, they're the mafia. The North Koreans have deep relationships with these guys. And that Chinese money laundering group, they'll run it through really complex process, try to anonymize it, break the links from the theft. But then ultimately what they do is they sell it to another Chinese gangster who maybe has dollars or has yuan in China from selling drugs or from human trafficking, from Mexican drug cartels. They'll have that cash and they'll trade the cash for the crypto.
In May, North Korea's foreign ministry spokesperson said the United States was spreading false information about a non-existent cyber threat for political purposes, describing the claim as nothing but an absurd slander to tarnish the image of our country. The complex money laundering system that has empowered the regime could be a vulnerability for investigators to exploit.
It might be too tall in order to actually hack their operations, but the North Koreans, they depend on all kinds of intermediaries to actually take advantage of the money they're stealing. We absolutely could be targeting them and disrupting them.
But North Korea has been underestimated before. Under its supreme leader, the rogue regime has proven to be resilient, adaptable, and unpredictable.
A lot of this was born out of the idea that our sanctions policy has cut off a lot of their economic development potential. So, instead of just rolling over and saying, oh, well, we give up, they've adapted, and cyber has given them the opportunity to do that. They've been successful in creating essentially a sovereign wealth fund full of stolen crypto assets that's more than what their economy was ever going to produce to begin with. The question is not how much are they cashing out, the question is how much purchasing power do they have in the global market now based on stolen crypto assets.
And he has nuclear weapons that work.
And he has nuclear weapons. You know, in his mind, I think in the North Korean psyche, this is very much like, we are not going to be an easy victim.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.